Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Should put on my headset, huh? Oh boy, what a year this week has been. Oh boy, what a year this week has been. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Mark. We're gonna have a quick chat here about what has transpired over the last few weeks. Posting, pinning, yep. Sorry, this is literally happening all the time. And also, oh my goodness, hi everybody in the Discord. Hi. It's so great to see you. Hi. It's so great. Not exactly sure where to start. Not exactly sure where to start. I think the idea with this stream is to answer questions to the best of my ability. Because this month has been really, really rough. What I'm pulling up here for you is a little Notion document. Come on. See, this is so funny. For a little bit of context here, Notion removed me from the Notion Pros program yesterday. So, I took to Twitter, which is probably where you're watching this. Thank you for doing so. And posted the email that I got. And it has been really difficult to compile a Twitter thread that somehow has everything we need in it. I'm not sure what Notion did. I don't know if it was just changing my pro status on their backend, but I got logged out of all of my instances as soon as they removed me. So I have a public link. I'll just share it. I'll just share the public link. And I'll add a little window here too for you to see what I'm talking about. So after I posted these tweets, I got quite a bit of support. Thank you all so much for your support. And one of the people who I heard from was a friend, Twitter friend, Tatiana, who suggested that I collate this information into one thing, which totally makes sense to me. There we go. Are there two? Anywhoozles. I'm gonna, if you're watching on Twitter, I'm gonna just share a link to this tweet. If you're watching on Twitter, I'm gonna just share a link to this tweet or to this page. So that you can see it too. So this kind of started, when did this start? At the beginning of this past month, I believe. Oh, here it is. Why are there two? Oh, here we go. Where to you, sir? Good day. So here is the page that I'm working on. I'm actually working on it as we speak because there's still a little bit of context missing here. So I really wanted to provide as much context as possible to what I posted on Twitter. I'm going to start with me. Although this is not about me, I do think it is super important for you to know how I wound up here. So I have been using Notion for a few years now, 2 years or so, to build a card game. And in January, after moving back to the States, given that I am in the Northeast and I'm from New Jersey, New York, I started attending the Notion meetups and met the three folks who were organizing said meetups. We really hit it off. They invited me to be a co-organizer. And in the process, Adrian invited me to be a Notion Pro. What is a Notion Pro? It's an unpaid influencer. Okay, it's their ambassador program. It's Notion's ambassador program. And what you get for that is some goodies. You get a free account, which I have quite a few of now at this point. And you get access to the Notion Pro Slack in addition to, you know, some swag, some goodies, things like that. I've been in the community, like I said, since about February or so. And in these last few months, it's been wearing on those of us who have been running the communities online, the subreddit and the Discord. And it's been wearing on me a lot, the amount of free labor that we do. So I actually have had a really fabulous rapport with with Notion's director of marketing, Camille Ricketts, since long before I even came to the Notion Pros program. I think we spoke on the phone for the first time at the end of last year, and she's been nothing but helpful and receptive for the most part to the things that I asked for. One of those things was they gave me a coupon code that I could use to give away, or to include anyway, Notion seats as Kickstarter rewards in our project that we have coming up. They have been supportive. They have been lovely for the most part. And it really wasn't until this most recent incident, I suppose, that I had any kind of doubt about Camille at all. This current issue at hand started at the beginning of June, at the end of May. When we online Twitter community, when you're extremely online like me, current events are like, you know, directly into your veins. So as the protest started, it really, like it reverberated around all of us. I'm mixed. Almost all of my friends relate to some aspect of this walk of life. And we were all super upset. And we were all watching eagerly to see what Notion would be doing in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, up until this point, really, aside from being, again, frustrated with how much free labor Notion Pros put in, very little to complain about. But as the protest started, I reached out in the Slack multiple times, asking when we might see a response from Notion. I'm very active. I watch Black Tech Twitter. I participate in Black Tech Twitter. And I had seen Ari Hale, who is a brilliant entrepreneur, using a nice long thread to keep some companies accountable. One of those was Gumroad. The way that Gumroad treated Ari and I think Caroline, who was also blocked by the account and the founder of Gumroad, was super unacceptable. And the way that the founder of Gumroad responded to a covertly racist creator on the platform, also unacceptable. So what I thought would be a good idea was not just to call for action from Notion, but to specifically say around that time that people should pull their stuff off of Gumroad. That's what Ari was calling for. To the goes. Oh, geez, I think I'm missing chat. So if you have questions, please, if you're watching on Discord, please go ahead and message in live. If you're watching elsewhere, please tweet me, or if you're on YouTube, you can send a message. I'll see it. We're on Restream, so I'll see it. So if you have questions, please interrupt me. I'm doing the best I can to relive this stuff, but as anybody in this position can relate to, it's exhausting. It's like genuinely exhausting. It's like genuinely exhausting. So, I suppose what I should do is just listen to Tatiana. Tatiana, I'm sorry. I forgot to include a key players area up here. The key players here are me, Karima Williams, Karima Digital, brilliant human being, Francis, the newest Notion Pro, and a few characters from Notion itself. The two that we interact with the most as Notion Pros are Camille and Ben. David Tibbetts is also there in the Slack, but he seems really focused on comms between, being the conduit between users and the dev team via support or Notion Pros, whatever avenue that might be. And Ben, I believe, is the community manager who is responsible for the Notion Pros program. No, it's not a bad start because, see, this is the issue. It's like, right? Like, it's not a bad start. So the question in the chat, which is also way too small, and I will move, isn't it not, like, shouldn't you not use Notion then? No, definitely use Notion because this is the crux of the issue. As we're talking about this is what I want you to keep in mind. Marginalized people should not be forced to use inferior software because the makers of the best option cannot for the life of them figure out how to find a seat at the table. Let that, like, think about that. That's what they would love to happen. I'm sure Notion would love nothing more than for us to go move to Airtable, move to Coda, etc. This is the best option for digital paper on the market. I don't want to stop using Notion. I'll do it if I have to. Because my dignity matters, and Karima's dignity matters, and Francis's dignity matters. But we shouldn't have to, and that's really the crux of this issue. So as we talk through these things, please bear that in mind. I've got an echo? Oh, frick. Thank you, Dan. Oh, frick. Thank you, Dan. Reggie, with the caps. Reggie, what are you doing, Reggie? What are you doing? What are you doing with the caps? Let me figure out the... Oh, I've got an echo because there's desktop audio here. Let me figure out the... Thank you so much, Dan. Oh, what would I do without you? What would I do without you? So, let's see here. Again, let's start from the timeline. I appreciate everybody being patient with me and piecing this together. This is like just so much. I've tried to like keep these receipts over all this time across multiple computers, etc. So, I asked for some action from Notion, and Camille said, "It's coming. It's coming. It's important to us. It's coming." Cool, no problem. We finally hear something on Blackout Tuesday. I don't know why this tweet isn't loading, but the tweet in reference is Ivan's tweet. Excuse me. Thank you, Dan. Oh my God, stop it. Stop it. Dan said my voice was beautiful. I misspelled Ivan's name. So on Blackout Tuesday, I forget how to spell his name, and I'm not even logged in here. On Blackout Tuesday, we finally saw something. We finally saw a tweet from Ivan about Black Lives Matter. It was okay. I think I actually need to switch to like the actual Notion page here because this incognito window is really just not doing the trick. Here we go. Just get rid of this. So, there it is. The Notion published something. Oh, thank you, Reggie. Oh my gosh. Why is my camera so amazing? This is my DSLR, but the trade-off is I have to keep turning it on. It goes off after a few minutes. Notion said something finally on Blackout Tuesday. That's how long it took. It took a full week of protests. Oh my god, I'm getting angry thinking about like telling this whole story. This is just a start to work that never ends. Ain't that the truth? I reached out to my friends who are Black women and listened to the voices on Twitter and was able to piece together that this was not an appropriate response. This was allyship in the most performative. This raised so many more questions than it answered about Notion's values and goals. And so I reached out to Camille, specifically on this topic. Not only to get some more clarity, because especially in talking with Karima, who is here, by the way, Bitcoin Bay in the chat, shout out. Thank you for being here, Karima. I love you. If there's anything that I missed, please holler. Karima's main concern, and I share it, is where is this money going, right? This is like the like bare minimum that an ally who's attempting to perform can do, is do enough research to figure out like where your money's going to go. If you're donating to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, then I'm wondering why you haven't been paying attention this whole time and missed the communique from the Legal Defense Fund that they were full. They were like, we're good. Same thing in Minnesota. They were like, this is too much. Like, charities have this problem all the time. It's a pipeline issue, right? You wind up with a bunch of, it's a bottleneck issue. There were dozens of incredibly impactful places to put money right now, or at this time, around June 5th, I think is when this was. I apologize if the dates are fuzzy. I should have captured the actual date in the capture, but I didn't. So I said, like, I really want to make sure that we know where this money is going. Can we hear more about this? And if you're not able to at least contract Karima to do your work on the diversity and inclusion front, then I would love to at least make her a Notion Pro. She deserves to be a Notion Pro, and she deserves a free team account. Karima's one of, I think we've been friends for like 2 years now, Rima? But only digitally. Like, we met on the internet in 2018. I met my wife on the internet. It's not weird. And I had seen firsthand, as a friend of Rima's, exactly how sharp she is and how fast she was picking up the platform, right? This was the response that I got from Camille. And as you can see, I'm like, I really don't have a problem code switching to speak Silicon Valley or whatever, however you want to think about that. Okay? We had this conversation. I said, great, thank you so much. She said, Karima sounds like she'd be a great Notion Pro. That would get her a free team workspace. Connect her to Ben. And she said, unfortunately, we can't say where the donations are going, because the way that we're doing this is we're asking our team to donate, and then we're going to match what they're donating. So they were submitting the receipts separately. Okay, cool. No problem. Understood. I connected Karima to Ben. Ben said, hey, great to meet you. And he sent her an application form in the same email in which he mistook her for another person of color, presumably. Which I say down here, just for clarity. Karima is not who is working on blmg.org. Ben had also messaged me individually in the Slack to tell me that, you know, here's the form. Do you want to send it to Rima or should I? And I was like, I already ran this past Camille, and she told me to talk to you, so I thought we were good. He didn't answer, and then he sent this email and sent it to Rima. I said to Rima, I was like, I can't believe you had to fill this out. Like, that's bonkers. I didn't have to do that. I don't know a single other Notion Pro in the entire community who had to fill out a form to join. It seemed like it was an invite-only type of a situation. Where's the rest of this email? I think I forgot to put the rest of this email into this page, but there is more. Yeah, I forgot to screenshot the rest of this. I'll add it. When Karima finished applying, let's see, where is this? Karima reject. Oh, here's the rest of the email. Bingo. Okay, cool. I split it up chronologically. What a smart guy. Smart guy. All right. So I introed Karima to Ben, right? That's what happened. Later that same week, the week, June 8th? The week that June 8th was in? Yeah, the week of June 8th. I continued talking with Rima, I continued talking with Black Tech Twitter and listening, really mostly just listening, because if you are trying to help and you want to make a difference, all you really need to do is listen. So what, Reggie? What? Reggie, how can I help you? And I could tell that this was not enough. So I detailed here what are the issues that we have with the action that was taken. The main issues were the lack of transparency is like really rough. Where is this money going? Like, I know you are saying what you are saying, but it would be so cool for you to prove it. Especially in 2020, when trust is like at an all-time low. Again, you can see here, the candor. And the other issue is the mechanism, right? Why are you asking your team where they want to put the money? When there are black voices you could listen to literally telling you where to put the money. If your team is predominantly white and Asian, and you have two black voices on the team, maybe the right thing to do is to zooming in on YouTube. There's a link to Mark's Twitter with the Notion note you can follow along with. Yes, there. Thank you so much, D-Lang. Thank you so much. If you are following along with this, please just go to Twitter, and you'll see a response to my tweet. I will also put the link into le chat. Sorry if you can't read this. All of the... Maybe just use Markdown. Thanks, Reggie. I would love to just... I mean, look, yeah, totally. Love you. So, the mechanism was really confusing. Why is this... Why is it, like, I understand what the goal was, but this is the real issue, is that instead of listening to the voices who are telling you what they need, Notion has all month been more focused on how their brand looks and ensuring that they do things in the way that they want to do them. And I don't know if you've ever helped someone out, but if you want to help someone, you have to help the way they need your help. If you want to help someone in the way that is comfortable for you, you're not actually helping. So you can see here, I said, maybe you should do this. Okay, we hear you. We missed the mark. Let's fix this. Let's raise the multiplier to 4. Let's remove the cap. and let's cut a check for 300K, which is what the pledge would have totaled if we had maxed out donations, right? The whole point of that kind of a mechanism, or one of the points anyway, is to encourage donation, right? To incentivize donation. We'll match it if you do. But then again, like, okay, who's the cap for? Would you really just leave like a bunch of money on the table if the team doesn't raise enough to hit the cap? Wouldn't you fill out the rest of the cap? Why wouldn't you just donate the money? Super confusing, super performative, super weak. Remo called it weak. And that's what it is. It's weak. It's a weak response. Thanks for being here with me while we're still here. Camille's response hand waved basically all the concerns and focused pretty much entirely on their intentions. And this is something that I've had a very hard time talking to white people about. The difference between intent and impact and when one applies versus the other. In contexts like these, when you are being asked by someone who is marginalized to help them, your intent doesn't matter. I'm sorry. This whole intent first movement over the last like 4 years is delusional. Intent is only one end of the spectrum. The impact that you have is a non-zero contributor, let's put it that way. Like, I don't know when we got away as a society from the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Did we forget about that one? Or is it just like hashtag intent matters now? This just like it just replays in my mind. Your intent doesn't matter here. Had Notion come out and donated directly to several organizations, that would have left a lot of people wishing we had supported different facets of the movement. Which people? Which people? Which people? Your team? Is that what this is about? Making sure that your team gets the feel goods? It's literally the definition of performative allyship, my friend. I encourage you to please go and read all of this stuff. Link in the chat. Agreed. Agreed. 1HDC. Assume positive intent. Yeah. Totally. Absolutely. Assume positive intent. But when people show you who they are, believe them. Right? I assume positive intent. John, love you, thank you. I assume positive intent as much as I possibly can. I love to give the benefit of the doubt. I make bennies a doubt rain on a mother. I am so happy to keep wasting my time drafting novels worth of messages to businesses, to organizations, to people who are in positions of power. But eventually you just like run out of steam, you know? And when people show you who they are, you have to believe them. You have to believe them. So I said to Camille, this response is, no, this ain't it. Like, this is not, this isn't helpful at all, but I don't have time for another long message today. Like, I don't have time to tone police myself for an hour and a half while I tiptoe around your feelings to make sure that I'm not being manipulative or abusive somehow by asking you to support Black lives. Ooh. Again, these things are measured by impact, not intent. And I thanked her anyway for her ineffective response. And she said, actually, I want to talk. Can we do that? And I said, hell yeah, we can. And we talked, what did I say, earliest slot works? Yeah, we talked that day at 1:30 in the afternoon for approximately an hour. And that was only about an hour and a half after this message was sent, right? Because it's 3:16 in this message Eastern. So 1:30 Camille's time would have been 4:30 our time. So this was an hour and 15 minutes prior to having the call. I went in the kitchen, I prepped dinner with Kate and, did the whole thing, and then came back and sat down, completely forgot to record the call. I told myself ahead of time, I was like, this is like exactly when you record a call, and I completely forgot to record the call. During this call, Camille said that I was being vitriolic in the chat by the way I called out, or not even called out, to be perfectly frank. I didn't call anyone out. I called for action. I said, the sheer amount of people here who use Notion or who use Gumroad to make money is wild. Imagine what we could do. Imagine the noise we could make to help the people who need it if we were to take all of our stuff off of Gumroad entirely because of the way that they treated our brothers and sisters. That was vitriol, which I had to remind Camille is tone policing. So she had to rephrase, of course. What she meant was that I was being stern. But to people with privilege, accountability often feels like oppression. So I'm not surprised that that's how it was read. On that same call, I do feel bad about how I said the phrase, you need to understand the difference between impact and intent, to Camille, because her response to that was, please don't speak to me like I'm not intelligent. And I said, you're right, I'm sorry. I'm angry, I'm upset. That doesn't give me the right to be cruel to you. But that comment did its job because we moved on from that subject to another one. And in this conversation, towards the end, when it did finally start to seem like we were getting somewhere, I think what I said that I honestly, I cannot remember the play-by-play, blow-by-blow of the discussion itself. I hope Camille recorded it. I would love to see it. I would love for it to be published. But I think the thing that got to her, that got to me, that then got to her, was when she said, but Mark, what do you want us to do? We've only been working on this for 7 days. How much else could we possibly do? I wanted to do it now. Oh, the angry. Sometimes I just want to like pick this wrist rest up and like use it as a bat, Why was it only the last 7 days that this came up for you? I don't know about you, but the Black Lives Matter movement has been ongoing for 4 years, 5 years? For a white person to tell me that they just figured this out is just mind-boggling to me. And I said that. How is it possible? You've been around for 2 years, 4 years. Notion's been around for as long as this movement has been around. How is it possible that it's only been 7 days for you? That is the problem. That is why we're having this discussion. That seemed to resonate with Camille. She messaged me afterward to that effect, to tell me that what I said there really stuck with her. But not before, on the call, when she began to cry a little and said that she really needed me to know how much she just hates disappointing people. I need you to know how little I give a shit right now about that. I really don't care. I don't like disappointing people either. But the frequency with which I encounter white people who want to make the discussion about them and their intent and their feelings and their actions and inactions, it's just staggering. It's staggering. It's staggering. It's continued for a while longer. I had conversations internally. Karima had applied. I continued to work on other projects. Eventually, I reached out again to Camille. After having a few chats with her, I continued privately sending her links to, like, basically doing the work for her, doing her job, doing Ben's job. This is the initial thing I brought up with the Notion Pros is like we're just literally just doing their job for them, unpaid. I set up a call with Camille specifically to catch up on what is on the docket for BLM. What is it that you are doing next? Because the thing that that Ivan said is this is just the start to work that never ends. Before I reached out to Camille, one of the things that I think made sense to her was to follow up with a report on where that money went for transparency's sake. The form that took was a post on your Instagram that was immediately buried and did not get syndicated anywhere else. That tells us very clearly how important this is to you. All the while, I kept putting more and more time into blmg.org, which please go to blmg.org. There's an enormous amount of information there. We use Notion to compile a massive living resource for folks who are protesting, looking to take action, white people who are looking to be better at allyship, you name it, all this stuff. That's one of the free accounts that they gave me. Lots of free accounts. Let it be known. I feel like I have more free accounts than any other Notion Pro. So if Notion wants to trot that out, like, oh, hey, we gave him every... Yeah, of course, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That doesn't make me whole as a human being, but thank you. So I scheduled this to talk specifically about Black Lives Matter. I wanted to talk about Karima. And the longer this went on, the more upset we were, the more I kept continuing back-channel conversations with people like Alex and Ben, the two other co-moderators, co-moderators of the subreddit and the Discord. Made it super clear. I really want, we have to do something. Like, I really need your help. I was super clear that if Camille was not willing to relinquish power at the organization, that we should take, what did I say? I have it in the Discord with Alex. I think I said we would make the Discord read only, post something and pin it until this was dealt with to our satisfaction. Because we have over 38,000 people and counting on the subreddit, and Notion has been crystal clear that it doesn't belong to them. It doesn't belong to them. They have made it crystal clear through every single channel that the Discord and the subreddit are not official channels. They do not want responsibility over them. They belong to us, and they are not something that they want to handle. They want it to be a community thing. Great, that's fine with me. So I continue those kinds of conversations. I also let Marie know, because Marie has been, bless her heart, she's been trying. She's been trying. She's been trying it. She's been trying me. She's been trying. I believe Marie has a good heart. I really do. I really believe that most Notion pros, I believe that most people at Notion have good hearts. Again, it just doesn't matter here. Because we're not talking about your intent. We're talking about your impact. So I kept having these conversations. I told Marie, I was like, at the beginning of the month, I said, hey, let's get Zoe, the creator of blmg.org, let's get Zoe on office hours. That would be one of the single most impactful things that you could do. you could put this message, is that here? Yeah. If you're ready for Allyship 102, Marie, something really impactful you could do is have the creator of blmg.org on office hours. I think she did reach out to her at that time. I didn't find out that she had until another week or two after that. This got delayed and delayed and delayed. It was no fault of Marie's, no fault of Notion's. Zoe got COVID and was sick, and then had a lot of personal things pop up. So I've basically been running the show on blmg.org for most of the month, really, along with Robin, another volunteer. And so I said to Marie, I think at the end of last week, when Zoe told me that she was not going to be able to make it to the office hours, she asked me to take over. I said, okay, great. So I started planning that with Marie. That was scheduled for today. We were going to run through blmg.org, show off what we did, show off what Notion allowed us to do. And I told Marie that I also wanted to use that as a platform to be able to call out these issues. She and other pros had expressed concern over me calling for Camille and Ben to step down. So I said, okay, well, even if we don't do that, we need to say something. We need to say something. Like these actions have not been good enough. And pretty much all of the non-melanated people in the group who I thought were going to stand up as allies have yet to really just like hear what we're saying and just help without wanting to do it in their own way. I'm getting off track here. Just trying to fill in as much as I can. So I set this call up on the 17th. Later this week, maybe it was that week. Oh, no, that's July. Hold on. I'm looking at the dates. Yeah, that weekend. I believe it was Saturday on the 20th, if I'm not mistaken. After referring Karima for the group, there was a new Notion Pro added, Frances, from the UK. She runs a website called the Notion Bar. She's brilliant. She's hilarious. She is strong-willed. She is friendly and kind and has a massive heart. She was added to the group. And I cannot confirm this, but my heart tells me that Notion attempted to tokenize her, which is wrong and breaks my heart because she doesn't deserve that. Frances joined the group, super enthusiastic. We really hit it off right away. I was thrilled to have somebody else that I might be able to talk to and relate to. And we did. We started hanging out pretty much immediately. I onboarded her to what has been happening behind the scenes, these things that I'm talking with you about right now. And we started working together on this stuff. And I started including her in my communications and letting her know, and keeping her up to date on what was going on, because this isn't just about Karima. This isn't just about me. This is about justice. It's about equality. It's about equity. So that weekend, Frances got added, the very first Black woman in the Notion Pros community, the second active melanated Notion Pro. That Monday, I believe it was. I could be wrong about when you were added, Frances. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Karima was rejected from the Notion Pros program via email. And that definitely would have been last Monday. Not this past Monday, last Monday, I think the 22nd, right? Yep. So this is the last email from Ben, weird screenshotting. This is the last email from Ben apologizing for having confused Karima with somebody else. And here is the email that Karima forwarded me about being rejected. What Ben said is, thank you so much for taking the time to apply to the Notion Pros community. We've been so excited to learn about your work through your application and Mark, and we want to support you as you build more incredible things. Right now, we're making the tough decision to keep the pros community small and focused on people who have been using the product for several years and built communities of their own around Notion. But we know you're headed in that direction, so we'd really love to stay in close touch and revisit you joining the program a bit down the road. In the meantime, please count me as a resource and a personal customer success manager for all things Notion, and the entire team here would love to learn more about what you're building. Many thanks for your time and consideration. Rima responded, this message is disappointing, confusing. If you were excited about my work through my application and want to support me as I build incredible things, why wouldn't you present some other opportunities for me to be able to build more incredible things? Does the interaction with Notion stop here? It's not clear if Notion really cares about furthering the relationship with me or my audience. And then if you'd believe it, on the current Notion Pro site, there is nowhere that stipulates that you encourage or require those to apply to have been working on Notion for years. I missed that. I could go on, but honestly, I don't have the energy and I don't think it's worth it to spell out to you how you missed out on having me as a pro. And Karima's absolutely mother, father, right. That's my job as a person who has the privilege of wielding whiteness to have those conversations on her behalf so that she doesn't have to. Because I have the luxury of being able to be much louder. Here are the Notion Pros rules as they were published on that day, on the 22nd. You can see them on that page. Absolutely nothing having to do with how long you've been using the product, how big or small your community is, any kind of requirement like that at all. That week, I believe maybe even that day on the 22nd, I don't recall exactly the day, but we had a call with one of the things that you get as a Notion Pro is you get to have conversations with the team. So I reached out to Michael, MLM, their new head of engineering, and put him in touch with a friend of mine, Steven, who is a brilliant developer, full stack, the most insane beginner's mind I've encountered in the software engineering community in quite some time. Like, the dude is just incredible. He's a total shoo-in. So in this thread in which I connected them, thank you for being here, Pigeoner. This will all be archived. We'll save it. In this thread, I asked, because they had said that they just brought on, look, one of the other conversations that we'd had was with Christina Cordova, who was also just brought over from Stripe and had been interested in working on the platform, the API platform. That's what she was hired for anyway. She's the head of platforms. On the call with Michael, they made it sound like they had just hired someone for diversity and inclusion. But I also knew that Christina was helping with recruiting, and that's also what Michael was doing. So I asked, forgive my forgetfulness, I don't know who it was that you were referring to, but whoever it is who is focused on D&I, could you please loop them in on this thread for me? I'd really like to chat with them. I totally forgot to include the other screenshot here of Michael saying, thanks, but no thanks. Let me get that really quick for you. So he said, thanks for the intro. Oh yeah, and I also said in this email that you can see on the screen that I said this initiative of San Francisco relocation being required is inherently classist. It needs to go. We are in a COVID era. We are in a digital by default era where remote first is how is the direction we're moving in. And San Francisco is one of the most inequitable cities, expensive cities on the planet. This initiative ensures that people of color who apply to a role at your organization are basically filtered out immediately. This is a total non-starter. He said that this person, whoever the D&I person was, is busy. She literally just started. I would connect you with the recruiter, but she literally just started and is heads down creating systems and getting up to speed and would like to give her some room to settle for a bit. Sorry, I couldn't be more helpful there. If it is Christina, and I could be mistaken, but if it is Christina, then the role of diversity and inclusion was shunted onto someone else as an afterthought, and that someone else was not a black woman. No one new was hired, as far as I'm aware. They're recruiting for a head of people, I think. But that's as far as I think that goes. On the 25th, last Thursday, Camille canceled the call that we had scheduled for last Friday. On that call, I was going to have this conversation with Camille about how I believe that the best thing to do is for her and for Ben to step down. And I want to clarify something here very quickly. When I say step down, what I mean is relinquish power. I do not mean quit your job. If that's what I meant, I would have said resign. I want you to step down. I want you to cut your salary in half and relinquish equity for a person who can take on this role, even if they're less experienced, because they are more experienced in the arenas that are required right now. And what someone like Camille, with a decade of experience in journalism and marketing, could do is provide coaching and resources from below. Put the power into someone else's hand. That is the single most powerful thing that a white person can do. Alexis Ohanian did it. He resigned from the Reddit board. Actors do it. You can do it. You can give your power away. So the day before this call, Camille cancels. I reached out the next day to try and reschedule, never heard back. That was last Friday. Now is when we start escalating. On Monday, this past Monday, I could not believe my eyes. Ben blasted the entire Slack channel and told us that the code of conduct was changing. The what was it? Acceptance criteria was changing and being updated, and that they wanted to hear from the Notion pros all about it. Yes. What I saw was an output, like white people who don't even chat, white people who don't say anything in the Slack, who are like never there. Suddenly, they had so much to say. It was absolutely fascinating to watch, and I have screenshots of this too. Please keep an eye on this page because I'm going to keep updating it. I'm not done. I have so much more context for you. I'm just trying to do this now so that we can get this conversation going, so that I can answer these questions, so that I can give as much clarity and context as possible ASAP. I wish I were joking. The white people who were discussing the code of conduct immediately changed the perspective of the conversation to, all right, while we're on the subject of acceptance criteria, what is the kick 'em out criteria? Think about that. Think about that. I'm a real smart guy. Who can't we have in here? Francis is the only other person in the entire Notion Pro Slack who has been supporting anything I've had to say. And I support her as best I can as well. The two of us have been very vocal in our own voices in the Slack about injustice and equality. And every single time I post something about something like that, the chat goes quiet. No reactions, dead. Dead. No one has anything to say. And I just wonder why that might be. I wonder if it's because when white people are in power, they tend to project who they are onto the world around them and create a bubble. And that bubble has grown so large in the state of California, we just call it Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley rots your brain. And that is exactly what we have witnessed from Notion, as Notion pros and as melanated people. The community that has been built around Notion reflects the people who control and wield Notion's voice. Camille and Ben wield power to cultivate a community that looks like them. Not to mention, Ben's in Tel Aviv. I don't understand why no one in the Slack says anything about it, because it's not even, it's like the worst kept secret. Slack tells you what time it is in their local time zone. And the times that he's available to talk are Israeli times. So what is it about Ben that makes him an exception to this rule? I'm fine with exceptions. Love exceptions. Exceptions prove the rule. You need them. Like, totally. Maybe his family is sick. Maybe his sister's getting married next month. Maybe he was there before COVID and had to stay because he couldn't come back. I don't know. I don't know what that circumstance is, but what I do know is that someone who works for a company that is a digital company in 2020 should not have to be in a position where they even have to question whether they can stay with their family if those kinds of extenuating circumstances were in fact the case. It's 2020. This is a digital tool. There is no excuse for having a classist policy like requiring San Francisco relocation unless you're the kind of company that thinks you're a family. You feel me? Companies who tell you that you're family are using an appeal to your emotion to make you feel like you owe them. Like your life is a piece of a bigger puzzle that you don't own. When a company says that we're just a big family, Reggie, you're my family. When a company says we're just a big family, what they mean is we own you. We want to be a part of your brain such that you cannot escape thinking about your work. We want your free time. We want your happy time. We want your sad time. We want your pooping time. We want every last bit of attention that we can squeeze out of you, because you're not a person. You're a resource. You're a thing that we can wring value out of so that we can make money and tell ourselves that we're making the world so much better. Yay! When I think about this stuff, it makes me laugh. Like, I really don't understand how people can be this transparently vapid, honestly. So, this email that was blasted to the Slack channel about the rules change was also emailed directly to Karima. Hey, don't be fucking racist, Reggie. Or shitty. I'm Jewish. I'm half Jewish. That's why I have the privilege of entering white spaces, because I don't have to wear my heritage on my sleeve. I'm brown. I'm brown. This doesn't come off. But to most people, I'm just white. And then eventually, I always hit a point, always, where I'm not white enough. And yet, I possess a tremendous amount of privilege. Tremendous amount of privilege. And I'm so grateful for it every single day. And the best that I can think to do is use it in the name of people who need it. So careful with that. No, I'm brown because I'm Costa Rican. Only half is Jewish, my friend. Costa Rican is actually a mix of indigenous, black, and colonizer. Anyway, getting this message, this is, you can see here, this is when escalation begins. This Monday, I lost my mind. I've had like 4 panic attacks this week. What I said here is I must be missing Karima's invitation to be a Notion Pro in this email because I know you did not just follow up with sorry, not sorry, but could you please do some unpaid labor for us so that we can get our act together? Genuinely Notion, genuinely Ivan, genuinely Camille, who approved this email? Who approved this email? When I responded, I got a message back from Akshay. Akshay wound up on a panel the weekend prior with Francis. Francis somehow managed to find herself moderating a panel about developing, what was it? I forget. Francis, if you're here, let me know. I forget what the name of it was. I closed the tab. But it was an event about developing areas in Africa and technology and the intersection of these things. So she was moderating a panel and actually turned out to be on it. So she had an opportunity to meet him already. She had good things to say. So when I got this email from Akshay, I was actually pretty optimistic. I read and reread this. And actually, I have to tell you, this is a masterclass in how to respond in this context. Your response got my attention. Acknowledge that this has been a tough experience for me. You're interested in learning about how we can do better. You acknowledge it's not my responsibility to teach you and that you don't want to ask more given everything I already do, but I have a strong point of view and you don't want to miss out on it. And you're buttering me up as well. You would be so grateful if I could help you out with the next steps. You're writing because you want to be better leaders and build a better company. So it's important to you that you do the right thing here. That caused me to write the softest response that I could while being as stern as I possibly could because I was furious. I misspelled his name. I feel so bad about that. I'm sorry, Akshay. I realize that me apologizing is making it about me. And I'm sorry again for that. Thank you for your understanding, is what I mean to say. But this is the part I want to drive home right here. I wholeheartedly believe that every soul at Notion has pure intent. This is measured by impact. Every single action, y'all, every single action for the last 30 days and inaction has added insult to injury. My stomach turns. I say this in this one. My stomach turns every time I open up Notion to work on my family tree with my mom. My mom and I have a standing call every week to get all of the information that she's collated over the last 2 years about our family tree and put it together. Because we only found out the name of the woman from whom our African heritage originates this month. And every single time I open Notion now, every time I use it, my stomach does a flip. So this is what I said. If you want my advice, what I said is I advise the next right steps are 1, Camille and Ben step down to make and hold space for marginalized voices in leadership at Notion. I said step down. Tatiana was very clear. I could have been clearer. I can appreciate that. I could have been so much clearer with step down. Because what I intended to mean, but my impact did not execute against, is that Stepping down means cutting your salary, relinquishing equity, relinquishing power. You don't have to quit. If you want to quit, quit. I mean, like, great, okay. Square rectangle, right? But I didn't say resign. I said step down. No one followed up. You could have asked, okay, tell me more about what you mean by step down. You could have said literally anything to me, but this email was ignored. Nobody said anything to me after this email. Secondly, you need to end Notion's classes policy of relocation being required. Same thing that we said earlier. This is inherently classist. And in 2020, there's no excuse unless you want to maintain control. Yeah, Reggie, I am. I'm talking about a person who, yes, no, Reggie, listen. Listen. The person that we're talking about here is a person with tremendous privilege and tremendous power. Even if there were no pay cut or relinquishing of equity, still take a step down and relinquish power. But if you're going to tell me that it's a budgeting issue after taking $50 million in funding not a few months ago during COVID, $50 million, $50 million in funding in the bank, on top of Notion already being in the black. I agree, you shouldn't have to take a pay cut. Notion could afford it. Notion can afford the past 15 hours. I love you, Reggie. I love your attitude. I don't know why you keep saying caps, but like, yes, for sure, it's for growth. So grow the team. Grow the team by hiring remotely, hiring the black voices that you're claiming to serve. Put a person in this role who has the requisite empathy required to execute and wield Notion's voice responsibly and appropriately. I don't think that's too much to ask. On top of that, Ben has made it very, very clear. Isn't SM majority? No? Is it? I don't know, man. I don't know. Either way. And do it all in public. This is just a start to work that never ends, Ivan. Okay? Last Wednesday, this thread went up. Notion, oh my gosh, performing allyship again, so that we can check this box and move on and make Mark be quiet. Thank you, Jordan. LMAO, Reggie. Tone it down. I don't have like my moderator fingers ready right now. Take a breather, tone it down. The last 15 hours. You're funny though, you're funny. This thread was such a masterclass in what not to do. If you actually, right now, if you go to Twitter and click on the Tech for Black Founders hashtag, you'll see most of the tweets about the subject using the hashtag are employees of the companies involved in the program. And most of those companies are all white leadership. Just like Notion. Notion's white and Asian. Oops. This thread was like the last straw. I could not. I could not handle that. You've had every single opportunity to reach out to Karima directly. You've had every single opportunity to engage with me. Upset though I might be, my anger is valid. And you don't get to tell me to be nicer to you when I'm trying to tell you that you're not doing enough to support lives that need your help. I was sharp and pointed, but I was not abusive. This is not abuse. This is accountability. And I have to remind you again, for people with privilege, accountability feels like oppression. It really does. Nobody likes to be told they're wrong, but that is what we do in this life, is learn that we're wrong over and over and over and over and over again, from the time we're born to the time we're buried. We learn how to do new things, how to get better. At least healthy, good humans do or try to. This email that I sent, I stand by every last word. Every single last word in this email is true. And you can read how angry I am in here, sent on July 1st, this week. This is the second most recent email that I posted to Twitter. And then yesterday, this is the first one that I posted if you saw the thread, me being removed. There's a lot more conversations from the Slack. How is that a threat? What am I threatening? Like, if like, this is the thing, right? Like, people of color can't win, can we? Like, either we do it publicly and loudly and people say, you should have asked privately first. Please be nice-o. But if you do it privately and then it comes out, there is an air of, you don't have the context. You don't have the context. You're lacking context. Let's try and spin this, right? That's not intended as a threat. If you received it as a threat, my impact was not aligned with my intent. And for that, I apologize. I apologize that I threatened you. I apologize that my anger blinded me to how I might hurt you. Still, for a company, this is no different than journalism. This is no different than accountability in any of its other forms. It is a courtesy to deal with this with people individually first. No, I'm not sorry to you, Reggie. Sorry, I didn't know. No, Reggie, I unapologize to you. I apologize to Notion. I apologize. Okay, well, give me back the exception of my apology. I apologize to Notion right now. I'm sorry if I threatened you. Not I'm sorry if I threatened you. Not I'm sorry if you feel threatened. I'm sorry I threatened you. That was the impact I had, very clearly, and I am sorry for that. I still stand by it. I feel remorse. There's another person who feels bad about my action. But sometimes we have to do things like get in good trouble. So I'm going to continue updating this page with as many of the screenshots from the Slack as I can, so please keep an eye on it. But in the meantime, I do just want to bring up a few of the things that we have as demands. This is just one of the like, I'm still working on this, like I said. This is a living page. This is one of the really nice things about Notion. Things just live on. You're right, it is just Markdown, Reggie. Sorry, not sorry. So we're still compiling these demands. We're still compiling them because I'm working with, like, these are not my demands alone. Please understand, these are being worked on with Karima, with Francis. Because neither of them feel remotely whole. Francis's entire brand is the Notion bar. She's good at Notion. And the reality is, again, like I said at the top of the conversation, people like us should not have to leave platforms because you can't find a seat at the table for us. Nope, not today. Not today. When that happens, if you are a white passing, light-skinned person like me, or you're just a white dude, a cishet white dude, you know how easy it is to be you? You know how easy it is to be me? It's so easy to be a cishet white dude in this culture, in this society. I benefit from patriarchy. I benefit from white supremacy. Use it. Wield it. It's a weapon. It's a sword. It's a shield. We have to stand up when shit like this happens and ensure that everyone is included. In one of these messages from Camille, you can see she says, we're trying to do a lot here. We're trying to help everybody on the planet use digital tools. That's a lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is. But don't all lives matter me, bro. If you're serving everyone, then let's start here. The main thing that I heard from Karima and Francis is actual action today. A real human statement from Ivan. A real human statement from Camille. And that would be step one. Step one to fixing this problem. Because, again, I gotta say, we don't want to leave Notion. That's why this hurts so bad. Notion is a tool for thought. You got me. You built the best one. I used your system to overwrite the one in my brain, and now the one in my brain thinks in Notion. And the best thing you can think to do when I come to you and say your actions are not... It's not, but look, Reggie, like this is the thing. It's not just about Markdown, man. Like it's about how powerful it is to have your thoughts next to each other. It's about how powerful it is to network thinking so that when you look at something, it is next to the stuff in your brain that is related to it. This is blng.org. This is what we were going to talk about on the office hours today. We've got a database of regions here. These regions are all connected to a database of National Lawyers Guild chapters. So that if you're protesting and you're stuck, we've got a hotline here for you that you can reach out to. Is that the right one? No, I think I gotta do a different roll-up for that. Because this is a regions database. These things are all connected to each other. They're all interwoven with one another. I don't want to leave Notion, you know? It's not just about Markdown. No, it's not. Google Docs sucks, dude. Google Docs sucks. Oh my God, I get it. You change your name to Markdown. Oh my God, you're funny, Reggie. You're funny. I don't get the all caps, but you're funny. It's not just about Markdown, dude. Like, this is such a fabulous product that I want to keep using. Like, I don't even know how else to say this. But I won't. I won't, because it's not worth the feeling of dehumanization that I get in my stomach when I open this application. We want to see action today. We want to see Notion do something today. Something that shows us that we have been heard in some capacity, so that we can at least begin the process of healing, begin the process of imagining what it might be like to continue using this product. Thank you for dealing with me going on tangents and streams of consciousness. We really hope that Notion does something about this today. Why did I get booted? I got booted because I said this. And like I said, I'll keep updating this with context. If anybody has questions, please let me know. This will be archived and viewable for anybody who missed it. And the page will continue to be updated. Thanks again, everybody, for your time, for your attention. Please go to blmg.org and see what you can do. There's a really fabulous resource right here. If you are a white person and you're wondering what you can do, there's a really excellent Notion tool on blmg.org. That's 75 things white people can do for racial justice. And in fact, there's even a Notion page for it, and you can use this page to track your progress on all of these different things that you can do.